So James, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and what VESK does?
Sure. Yeah, my name is James Mackie. I'm the Managing Director of VESK Virtual Desktop. And VESK are now the fastest growing supplier of virtual desktops to SMEs in the UK. We're 3 years old, so relatively new company. We're classed as a small business, 21 to 50 employees. And we're now branching out into the US market.
Okay, wonderful. You have chosen VDI hosted desktop as the market.
Yeah.
Storage is a big component when you deploy VDI.
Yeah.
Can you maybe talk to us about some of the due diligence and your thought process that went into when you selected the storage vendor for your operations?
Yes, of course, yeah. As you know, and as you said, storage is a big part of any VDI deployment. So for us, we actually did the process of elimination. We tried everything. We tried the Dell Equalogics, we invested in those, the MD3000Is, a couple of other makes as well that I won't mention just now, but we tried about 4 different SANs and pretty much all the makes you've heard of. The problem we had, when we got to a certain number of users, because of the IOPS the VDIs require, we started hitting performance problems. So we heard about ZFS, and we were recommended Nexenta, and it was very simple to install. Literally, you put the CD in, and straight away we kind of realised the benefits because we could control the IOPS. So Microsoft pretty much stipulate that you need about 5 to 25 IOPS per VDI. What we were seeing with our users, because we do total cloud, we give our users access to everything, full application suite, as well as Office and Exchange, their own bespoke apps. And we found that some users were using about 100 IOPS. So it wasn't ideal, to be honest with it. So as soon as we chose Nexenta, we could choose the SSDs, we could choose the ZILs, we could choose the L2 ARCs, and we could choose the storage as well. So we started off with a single head node and a single LSI JBOD chassis, and we tried putting 700 test users on there, and we load tested with 720 users in total, and it didn't fall over, which for us was really good. So then we invested in the most recent SAN, which was 3 JBODs running RAID Z2, each one 24 bay, 2 head nodes running Nexenta Gold Edition with HA. So we've got full failover, 8-second failover, and we've now on that particular SAN got 1,900 users, which is about half of our total number of users. So for us now, that's it. We're sold. We've removed our old SANs. We're using them for things like off-site backup and backing up files, pretty low intense resource applications, and we pretty much use at the moment Nexenta is covering half our storage across the main data center and 2 DR sites. We auto sync to 2 other DR sites, and by the end of December, then 100% of our storage will be Nexenta.
That's great. You and I were just talking about how the expansion is going on from UK now here to the US.
Yeah.
You also talked about auto-sync, the feature which helps you to replicate the data.
Yes.
So when you talk about the storage infrastructure, Nexenta obviously has features like dedupe, thin provisioning, compression, or auto-sync for replication.
Yeah.
So can you maybe comment on the importance of these features and how they fit into your operations in general?
Yeah. Well, dedupe's probably one of the key components. I mean, for the fact that when you create golden images within Zen Desktop, we do use Citrix, VMware, and a bit of Hyper-V, but mainly we prefer Citrix. So we've done a lot of research on Zen Desktop compared to other VDI models, and we really like it and the performance we get. When you're talking about gold images and the IOPS, dedupe's really clever because obviously you can get a performance ratio we found of about 20 to 1. So you could have a number of 20 users all running the same Word document, for example, and they could all be doing something different in Word, but you're only using the main DLL file from Word. So dedupe's a very powerful tool. For us as well, compression is great, but I think for me personally, it's my favourite tool is AutoSync. We tried to get ZFS send and receive working on standard ZFS technology. We've tried all of the Equalogics where they've got the built-in DR facility and everything else, but AutoSync just works. And with the new release of 3.1, as well as just working, it's got a pause feature as well, so it checkpoints all of the deltas. If AutoSync stops, rather than having to resync the whole lot again, it just stops. If the internet goes down, the interconnect goes down with something else, and we can literally just start it up again. So for us, AutoSync, dedupe are powerful tools. Compression's great. I mean, to be honest with you, we take compression for granted a little bit. It's great, but I think the most, probably one of the other very, very important things for us is thin provisioning. Most SANs don't come with that. So if you look at the most recent SAN we've put in, if we were using the technology we were using before, we're using about half a petabyte at the moment. We're on about 500 TB. On the particular SAN that we've got in at the moment, it's 132 TB raw, and we're actually using about 40 TB. If that was not thin provisions, it would be way over 100 TB. So that's the thin provisioning is one of the key features for us as well.
Okay, great. And I know you're a big fan of the software-based storage solution, which gives you the complete flexibility in choosing your own hardware,
yes,
be it the servers or SSDs.
Yeah.
So, what advantages does that model give you, specifically the fact that you're a service provider?
The fact that we can choose our own hardware is pretty important in terms of, well, one obviously is the cost, because when you're buying JBODs, you're buying basic enclosures that are well made, and you're choosing the disks that you want. So the cost, if you compare that to Equalogics or NetApps or any other makes, the cost is hugely reduced, because they tend to add on I know Equalogic, for example, they add on a cost per disk for the DR, which is about 3 times the cost of the physical hard drive. So it's great that we can choose our own equipment. We were using LSI, and obviously since they've been taken over, we've moved to Supermicro. Again, that's just something that we may not have been able to do if we weren't using NextCenter, because we can pick the SANs or the JBODs. And the head nodes, again, we pick those ourselves, whether it's HP or Dell. We can completely pick those, and the most important part of it all are the solid state drives. So we're currently testing some ESTEC ones at the moment, but in production we've got Intel. So for us it's great, because it kind of means that we've got our own IP now, we've got our own intellectual property. Before, if you could just buy a SAN, put it in, you can't really scale, well, you can scale it, but you can't really calculate the most efficiency and productivity you're going to get from that SAN. Whereas now we can completely tailor our SAN to how we want. So if we have a specific user who wants their own virtual private cloud, for example, we can build it to exactly the size and specification that we want. They might say, look, it's got to be VMware, or it's got to have, we don't want Dell servers, we need HP. With NextCenter, we can do that. So it kind of fits every area, really, for us.
Okay. James, it was a pleasure.
No problem.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.